Thank you for staying with us, everyone. Tonight, we focus on the growing controversy surrounding Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector and the legal battle that could reshape the country's fuel market. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has gone to court, challenging the full import licenses issued by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to marketers and the NNPCL. Supporters of the refinery argue that Nigeria must protect local refining, reduce dependence on import, and finally achieve true energy independence. But critics, including Dapman, warn that restricting fuel imports could weaken competition, threaten supply stability, and hand too much control of the market to a single dominant player. Dapman says Nigeria's downstream sector only works because there are multiple players. So why should one refinery have the power to determine who imports fuel? At the center of this debate are critical questions Nigerians are asking tonight. Can Dangote Refinery meet the country's fuel demand consistently? Should imports continue alongside local refining? Joining me tonight for this conversation is energy expert Dankule. Mr. Dankule, thank you very much for joining me on the program.
Thank you very much, Elijah.
Right. You know, every time I asked, thank you. Every time I asked if Dangote Refinery is trying to dominate Nigeria's fuel market, your answer is always no. But why go to courts to stop competitors from importing fuel?
Well, okay, you know, there's what we call self-preservation. When you are in natural law, when you are open to hazard and attack, you have to firstly...
Hazard from where? Attacks from where?
Hazard from the market environment.
Okay.
And the domestic market environment in the downstream, they want to start harassing Dangote Refinery again.
Human beings?
Well, when I say market, what are the constituent elements of market? Human beings. Okay. So the consumers and the suppliers and the producers. That's what makes the vertical line of market. So in this case, he went to court to say, Dangote Refinery said, look, this is the provision of the PIA, that the country must be open to likely shortage before you can decide to say, let us import, because there will be shortage. In this case, there is no shortage. There is energy crisis in the world, and Nigeria, luckily, is insulated from that energy crisis.
Are we?
Since February 28th, that the escalation erupted in the Middle East, Nigeria has not been open in any way to shortage of petroleum products. So how come now
I don't think that's debatable.
Yes, but it's practical. It's practical. Let's take the trend from 28. It's very recent. So how come that a group of people will sit somewhere and convince the authority to go ahead to still open our border for import?
But why is it always Dangote against this group of people? Because I want to believe that, you know, if there is enough transparency on Dangote's part, the conversation about monopoly should have ended by now. We shouldn't be having that conversation about monopoly. And you will stop telling me that monopoly is not the goal. But if monopoly is not the goal, I mean, these are visible cracks, Mr. Dankule. Why challenge the licenses of multiple importers instead of simply, you know, competing on price and availability?
Very good. The question is not about monopoly. The question is about scale. I have said it at times, you know, we are so gullible in the way we create certain narratives around ourselves in this country.
You don't think that conversation has gone on for too long?
No, monopoly. Okay, in the last 3 years, the people who have been accusing Dangote Refinery of monopoly tendencies, why have they not, in the last 3 years, put all their monies together, either collaborate with Dangote as co-investor, or take their money to buy, or take their money and approach government and say, okay, we have this money. We want to have refinery also among the 3 refineries that government could not manage, could not even fix. Why don't they do that? Why are they only interested in importing? The question you ask, why are you accusing Dangote Refinery of monopolistic tendencies? When you who is accusing, take NNPC. NNPC is the single monopolist, vertical monopolist for energy supply for Nigeria since 1960. Okay, since 1972, NOC, when General Gowon created NNPC. So why is it now that NNPC is a limited liability company? certain Dapman group will still connive somewhere, conspired, and say Dangote Refinery has monopolistic tendencies. Where were they? This question continues. In the last 3 years, where have they been?
So the question
where
you
have they
not
been that they cannot invest their own money to fix government refinery?
The question you have not answered is, if you say this is not a monopoly, why challenge the licenses of multiple importers?
Because the country is supposed to protect every industry, every productive activity in a nation. The government of that country is supposed to protect.
But what that man is saying is that the government is trying to protect only Dangote.
And since the rule of law and the provision of the Petroleum Industry Act says that if there are no sense of urgency and emergency for shortage of energy, there will be you are not to import, because we have self-sufficiency locally. So I'm coming. So if me, who own a refinery, now see that there is a threat for somebody to start importing, I will go to invoke that clause of the Petroleum Industry Act.
The question is why?
And go to court.
I mean, that man is saying, can you hold on, sir? That man says its members invested billions based on valid licenses. And for the purpose of clarity, is Dangote calling for those licenses to be revoked completely or simply reviewed? Because
that man had no business.
You didn't answer the question. Is Dangote calling for those licenses to be revoked completely or simply reviewed?
Let me say, okay, I will answer now. Even if NDPRA, the regulator, wants to arrange for importation of petroleum product, by virtue of the size of the Dangote refinery today in this country, in fact globally, the country regulator supposed to approach Dangote and say, you have so much facility and infrastructure to import, if we are to import at all. You have so much facility to store, storage capacity. We want to give you a right of participating. Then Dangote will now say, Dangote Refinery will now say, see what I'm turning out daily. See the volume I'm turning out. Why are you going to be importing? So even those Dapman combined together, all their storage capacity is not up to Dangote's storage capacity. So even for giving them license first, it's already an aberration. It's against natural law. It's an aberration.
Because,
I say it with all audacity.
It's
an aberration.
Interest, but why
it feels so that there's a conspiracy somewhere.
Can you hold on, Mr. Dako? But why block others from competing in an open
market?
Why
can't the Dapman people go and invest in fixing those refineries they jointly ruined over the years?
Okay.
So why can't they take their money? Why must it be importation?
So Dangote has issues with the marketers.
It does not have issues with the marketers. The marketers.
That's what you're saying.
No, it's the marketers who are reluctant in changing their business style, their business model.
You don't think that if he doesn't have issues with the marketers, he wouldn't take them to court?
He has no issue with them.
Then why take them to court? Why try to stop importation?
No, there are actions that will make you know that this is a threat to your business. That's what we call, you have to scan your business environment. You must scan, you have to consciously, every animal is sensitive to its environment in animalistic behavior. You are sensitive to hazard. You are sensitive to disaster. So in business, you can't sleep. As I was coming in here, I saw Router just carrying out that NNPCL Limited is accusing Dangote Refinery of monopolistic tendency. Okay. What is the meaning of that?
Because one thing NNPCL has said is that Dangote cannot prove ability to meet Nigeria's total field demand.
Where is
Please hold on, sir. So what you should tell Nigerians tonight, Nigerians are listening to you, can Dangote Refinery currently meet 100% of Nigeria's daily PMS demand consistently without imports or shortages?
110%. If he's doing 50-something million liters per day of PMS, premium motor spirit, so how much are we consuming per day? Where are the empirical numbers? I've asked this question consistently in the last 4 years, that the regulator, NDPRA, should give us the numbers scientifically, not fraudulent numbers that they have used over the years.
According to you, which you cannot prove.
With all those numbers they could not prove over the years, and they have used them to defraud the country and the treasury heavily. You remember in 2013-14 how Aki Mukude has to be made chairman. In fact, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, that is currently NSA, was called back by Jonathan, President Jonathan, to come and investigate that level of fraud in NDPRA at that time. Right. So why will we continue to live in the wrong? If I have suggested constructively in the past that all the depot owners should carry out a proper audit of their asset and approach government for a bailout. That is how it is done. You don't go and insist, I produce good petrol here in large volume. You ask me, you ask another person to go and import bad petrol. I do quality water to drink here in my compound. You now ask somebody to bring bad water to my compound for the resident of that compound to drink from. How will you react?
Let's go back to the PIA, Mr. Dangote, because Dangote's argument is that this licenses violate provisions of Nigeria's Petroleum Industry Act. And I want you to point to the exact section of the PIA that says marketers should stop importing because Dangote exists. Yes, because Dangote exists in reality. What section of the PIA?
Is it not 317?
No, you should tell me.
3179. Check, I think it's there. So why it says so? It says it shall be when it is adjudged to be necessary. In
when
this
necessary.
case, yes.
Yeah, when necessary. So
in this case, it is not necessary.
That's coming from you.
No,
that man says it is necessary. Are you saying the regulator is wrong?
The regulator is very wrong, categorically wrong, capital wrong. He's wrong and he should prove it. Look, we are living in a digital age. Dangote production facility is not manual, it's not analog. So when you go there, you see it. So the trucking that take petrol from your gantry are digitized. So the analog we were running in the 60s, in the 70s, the 80s, in the 90s, that we were defrauding ourselves as a nation, and we had no money left to build schools and roads and health centers. We said it should stop. This battle is our life battle as a nation. We have to plead with President Tinubu to open the door and let us see what is inside there. What is the matter about this importation? And why will, at this stage of this refinery success, why will these guys still come around? An NNPC that is a shareholder in Dangote Refinery will now be joining to say Dangote has tendency. That is already, you can see the conflict of interest there. NNPC is a limited liability company and a shareholder. It's like NNPC now telling LLNG that LLNG has a monopoly of LNG production in Nigeria.
Worrisome. I mean, you said, why should they be fixated on importing? I'm curious to ask, how does Dangote, see competition in the downstream sector? Can local refining and fuel importation coexist at all?
They cannot coexist in this case because the capacity to meet... No, look, it does not need to be Dangote Refinery. It can be XYZ Refinery that has capacity. But in this case, it is Dangote Refinery that has capacity to meet our domestic needs.
If regulators decide imports are still necessary, should Dangote accept that decision or continue
the regulator has completely misled the country by what he has done. He has misled the president, he has misled the minister, he has misled the whole country.
It's easy for you to say that because you're speaking for
I want let the regulator come and show us the numbers. I say we are living in digital age. It's no longer analog age. Look, to lead a nation today in any civilized setting, you have to work 24 hours. You know why? No information is hidden anymore. The vessel that we take any petroleum product anywhere in the world today is digitized. GPS will pick it, we know the volume inside and the quality. So how can we still be living as if we are in the dark age? So let the regulator come and show us the numbers. Even what they want to import, let them show us the quality, the certification, the volume that the vessels will bring to Lagos. Let them show us. Why should it be hidden? Madam, why will it be hidden? Is it not your money and our money? Is it not?
And it's also very worrisome.
Is it them? Is it them? Is it a few 10 people?
Are worried or concerned about regulatory capture. I mean, what they would have to tell you every time is that Dangote's influence over government policy is becoming too powerful. What do you say to such concerns?
Who is too powerful?
Dangote.
This is free enterprise.
Over
This is free enterprise. Is it okay? Well, good. So now nobody is powerful in electricity business. Do you have light?
In my house, I have light.
No, wait. Madam, you are one out of 220 million people. I don't have light, madam. I have solar. I have solar. I bought solar with my money. So if they think Dangote Refinery is a monopolist, in this case now, so there's no monopolies in electricity. So do you have electricity? There's no monopoly in rice production. Do you have sufficient rice? We're importing rice. There's no monopoly in yellow corn production. Do we have yellow corn?
In salt, in cement,
it's not,
Dangote.
No, madam, all these allegations still just shows how lazy we are. The man worked 24 hours in this same country where you and me live. So when I go every weekend to go and do Owambe, the man is in his factory. So why are we now, why is the success of Dangote now a problem for the Kaba who have been milking you and me on rental basis? So let us challenge the regulator to come with the numbers. Or let us have been advocating we bring forensic auditor from the heavens to put such light on the import volumes of finished products, the origin, the volume, the quality, and then let them compare it with Dangote's refineries.
I mean, most times it looks like an act of, stifling the small fries. And the question is, if Dangote Refinery is truly globally competitive, why not prove that strength in an open market than in the court of law?
No, let me give you one example, madam. This issue of the people who say they are small and they need small fries and they need to survive. If the foundation was already wrong, and we say in the last 3 years you should go and find a way to correct this wrong, and you still refuse and continue to lobby and put pressure on Mr. President or the apparatus of government at Abuja to insist that importation is the only way out, and we are saying it is not the only way out.
All right.
They cannot be right. They are definitely wrong.
Let me put you on the spot, Mr. Dankule, because you said this is not about Dangote Refinery. If tomorrow another refinery bigger than Dangote emerges and asks government to stop Dangote from importing products, would Dangote support that logic?
Dangote will take it by the rule of law. Dangote Refinery will take it by the rule of law. You know, in market structure.
Don't think this is easier said than done?
No, in market structure, if somebody can risk his money in the next 10 years to build a refinery bigger than Dangote, so be it. So do you mean Dangote Refinery will go and sleep in that 10 years?
Meaning Dangote will go to court to stop that?
No, he will also say this is market. Look, did Glo stop MTN? Did MTN stop
So
Airtel?
why is Dangote stopping other importers from importing?
No, the importation, madam, importation. When you import, you are importing poverty. You are importing poverty. Okay, madam, let me give you an example of this situation. The product they are importing originates from where? Who refine it? Who beneficiate it? The crude. Outsider. So when they bring it here as finished product, you know, I saw the indication when the World Bank wrote that terrible report that petrol imported will be cheaper by 12%. If the president had allowed that 15% tariff on petroleum product to stay, there's no way you can import petrol from anywhere in the world to this place that will be cheaper than the petrol refined by, if you go by the standard, the international standard of the quality. So why will I open my eye down and allow you to import inferior product to the country when my own manufacturing facility here, okay, was that not what we did to Peugeot Automobile and we killed Peugeot?
Indeed, Mr.
Was that not what we did to Volkswagen
is framing this lawsuit as not just a fight between businesses, but something they believe could affect full availability and consumers across Nigeria.
No,
but we'll continue to monitor this development.
Let us go back to the issue. No, let us go back to the issue, madam. If they issue 6 licenses for import, the number 1 person they're supposed to call is Dangote Refinery and say, we want to import. You have even facility to import. He will now say, why are you importing?
And indeed, Nigeria's
collaborative.
fuel industry should remain competitive. Thank you very much for joining us on the program tonight. Energy expert Dangote, thank you very much for your time.
Madam.
Please have a great evening.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. You're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Good night, everyone, and please have a great